I'm going to be showing you how to pull out and replace the spacebar of this Steel Series keyboard. If yours looks similar to mine, this will probably work for you. These larger keys, things like caps lock, shift, control, spacebar, stuff like that, they have these bars in them. The bars make it so it stabilizes. They're stabilizing bars. They basically make it so the piece is more rigid than just a simple piece of plastic like you have on other regular keys. Like these are just pieces that look kind of like this and pieces that look like this. That's all they have. And then they have a little cup in the middle of them. Okay. I can open up one of them as well. But for now, I'm just going to replace my spacebar. A buddy of mine just spilled a bunch of pop all in my keyboard, so I'm going to clean it all out. And then I'll show you putting it back in, and then I'll pull it out once more just to show you how I do it. Okay, so first thing you want, if you can see on these pieces, there's a specific spot right here. It has kind of a squared area, whereas this upper one, oh geez, that's really difficult to point at. Okay, this bottom one, you can see that it's lifted off of the surface I have it on, right? Whereas if I turned it over, right? If I turn this piece over, it's now flat. Okay, this larger piece, when you put it in, needs to be sitting so that it's up and so that it's raised, okay? And then this smaller piece needs to be sitting so that those square pieces are lowered, whereas if I turned it over, this is incorrect, okay? That is incorrect, whereas this is correct, okay? If you can see that difference. So on each of those, there is a square part, which is at the bottom. Okay, each of these is square shaped, whereas the top is rounded. Same thing, square, rounded. Okay. This one is sitting in here right now. If you can, god damn, focus. Okay. So you can see the larger piece has those square parts at the bottom, okay? And the smaller piece also has those square parts at the bottom if you look really carefully at that. That is the correct way to have it in. That is literally sitting there as I pulled it apart. I didn't touch it. This other one I have accidentally pulled apart, so I'm gonna have to put it back in, but I'm gonna match the other one, okay? As for these bars, they clip in to clips along the length of the spacebar here. It's quite similar for all the larger keys. They also have these bars in them. They just clip in along the length of it. What you need to be careful of is the key itself. Okay, like caps lock is kind of obvious which is top and bottom because it's written caps lock on it. Spacebar, that's not obvious, right? It's literally just two straight lines. It could be this way, it could be this way. You don't know if you took it off wrong or if you've pulled it off just out of the package, like you're replacing it or something. I don't know, whatever your situation is. Okay, so if you're looking at these pieces themselves, when they go in, the smaller pieces connect in a narrow space, okay? So the smaller pieces connect right with the bit I just raised up there, those rounded pieces at the top, okay? And that's narrower than this connection here of the bigger piece, okay? So that means I need to align my spacebar when I'm going to put it back on so that the narrow, right, lines up at the top, whereas the wide clips, if you can see those, lines up at the bottom. So that means I have it upside down right now. I'm going to take it like that. You can see the narrow clips are at the top of my spacebar right now, I would want to put it on like that, right? Okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can do that. I'm gonna put these breaker bars in. That went nice and easy. It just clipped in the whole way. You want them to be pointing so that they sit flat like that. I'm gonna do the second one and then we can put it in. Okay, I've gotten my stabilizer bars into my space bar. Now I'm going to reassemble this. If you see on the sides here of this small piece, you have these small little sections, okay? They're going to go, let me just readjust how I'm holding here. They're going to go into, oh geez. Okay, can't see that. But if I hold it sideways, anything at all? Come on, pick up something, camera. Okay, I have it sitting properly right now with square at the bottom, round at the top, and with it sitting, again, raised off the surface currently. So these little pieces are going to press in there first, okay? Put them into, there's like little slots right in the middle of these, and you want to press it into there first, okay? And be gentle about that, because I've already had one of these keys actually be a bit finicky about that. I may have damaged it. I'm not sure. I'm just going to live with it. But you know, be careful with it. All this stuff is kind of really small and breakable, which is kind of shitty to work with. But basically, you want to have your pieces lined up. And I just placed it on top. And now you're going to just push it down. And it slid right in for me. Okay, it looks a little off center. There we go. So now it's sitting together. They are now one piece that kind of rotates against itself. And now we're going to put that into the keyboard just like the other one. Okay. So again, the other one, if you look at it, is raised off the surface. I want to keep my square part raised off the surface. That's proper alignment. I've watched a few YouTube videos on this already, and they go into nice detail to point out that you need to do the bottom first, and that definitely helps. So I'm going to try to put this piece in there. Oh geez, I'm not very good at stuff like this. Okay, so I'm going to click the bottom in first. And that's being a little finicky, but that's in, okay? And now it's just laying flat, and I'm just going to give it a little press, and now it's in completely. Okay, and now my piece is in there. I've got both in. I've got my spacebar ready to go back in. I've cleaned all the gunk, mainly just out of these balancer bars. I don't know what they're supposed to be called. They're just bars that go across. They stabilize it. They're stabilizing bars. I don't know. Anyway, I cleaned out that. I cleaned out really carefully around this cup because it did have some pop residue hanging out there. I've noticed with like some of the other keys, like they're honestly the pop didn't really stick into like that hinge that we just dealt with putting together. It doesn't seem like anything really stuck into that space, so I just kind of cleaned out. Like there's like hair and junk like that kind of in this space, but besides that, it was really just clean these bars because that's really making it stick. And so putting this back together, you need to make sure it's lined up properly. Currently, I have it upside down, right? I'm going to turn it over like this, okay? But you can see that there's a narrow set of clips and a wide set of clips. The wide set of clips goes at the bottom, the narrow set of clips goes at the top, right? So that's how that's going to end up when I flip it over. Okay, I'm just going to push it in just like that. But I want to put in these bars first, which the space bar seems really complicated. The other smaller bars like enter and caps lock and stuff like that, they're just a singular bar, which was much easier. So you just put that bar in first and then you plop it in. But it seems like I have to do both of these bars first and then just press it down and it goes into place. So I'm going to see if I can get them in. Honestly, my only tools here, I have a screwdriver, which really is not a small enough screwdriver. I recommend having a smaller one. I've been using a toothpick to help out with kind of stuff like this, and then I have like these tweezers. Tweezers have been really helpful for this. If you have some kind of small stick, honestly, like the toothpick is even a little bit big. If you had something a little bit thinner than a toothpick, that'd be really useful. I'm not sure, maybe like I could use like a paper clip or something like that. But I'm just gonna see if I can push these in and we'll see what happens. Okay, I now got each of the stabilizer bars in. I haven't pressed it down yet, so it does still wiggle around. But I'm gonna show you underneath here. I did one at a time for each of these bars. Can you see under there at all? Okay, well, I'm trying. So if you can see right there, that's one of the bars going into the slot that's right there, okay? That bar goes into that slot. And I did the top ones first, and then I did the ones that are low down here so that I could actually look at it from the angle that I'm looking at it right now. I looked at it from like right down here, just straight in, right? And I did my best to push it in place. I did like do one side first, then do the other, right? And then do the bottoms second. I really recommend that. When you're taking it apart, do it the other way, okay? You're gonna do the bottoms first, the top. But now that those are in, and I believe I lined up everything correctly, you should be able to, since there's a piece here and a piece here, you should be able to just press down in each of those. There's a click. It should have snapped into all 4 spaces. And click on that one. Okay. And that, oh man, that feels much better than it did before. That's very good. This was very sticky. It was not good before. That feels tons better. I'm going to do my enter key as well. But honestly, the rest of my keys are doing all right. My caps lock was pretty bad. And I opened up this control as well because it was just on the corner. It seemed like the easiest one to start on. My shift is currently a little sticky, so I'm going to do my shift. I'm going to do my enter and this key above it. Besides that, everything else seems pretty good. I'm glad I have a good beefy laptop that it didn't just all get in the inside, because that would have been real bad. But I'm going to show you how to pull this spacebar apart again. I'm going to see if I can actually do it again. So I tried to do both at the same time. So if you lift up the front of it, you can kind of see underneath there. And that's just kind of how I figured it out. But you gotta get in and push both bars out. I can see from the side over here that I'm only behind, or I'm behind both bars now. You can see my toothpick just sticking out at the end there. And now I'm just gonna pull and see if I can get both of those out. And they are out now, okay? And I mean, I was a little concerned about bending my spacebar like this, but it honestly doesn't seem like it made too much of a difference. Can I set my phone like that just to stare at the... No, I can't. Okay, I gotta hold it. Well, this part is really difficult with one hand. So I got both the bars out. Okay, they're not hanging on to that little clip anymore. And that means I need to lift on this side again. Oh, man. I actually only got one bar out. Okay, I can get the second bar out from this space. Hopefully. There it is. There it is not. It's back in. Is that the way I did it? I actually just pulled it up the whole way, didn't I? I just pulled it right off of the breaker, or off of the stabilizer bars. Maybe I should do that again. Okay. I'm going to go around. I'm going to click it out of each of the stabilizer bar positions. I'm just doing some lifting. Everything in here is kind of fragile, but it's designed in such a way that I can't really do anything about that. My phone can stand there. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to get this bar out of there. And now I'm just going to pull it off of the plastic. Okay. I don't want that connected anymore. That's off. Stabilizer bar. Come on out. This worked for me. Honestly, I have no idea what the right way to do it is, but this works. I don't recommend doing it a ton of times because clips only last so long, so many clips. Okay, I got it out again. And honestly, yeah, same as before. This is kind of out. I'm just gonna pop it out entirely. Now I've got my space bar out again. This stabilizer bar is still actually in here. And I messed up the one side a little bit, so I'll have to pull it out and stick it back in again. But hopefully that gives you a little more indication of what you need to look for, what you need to look at. And yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to do my shift bar here now. I was just looking at it. I think the space bar is the only one that has a double bar on it, but I'm not taking the whole key bar apart, so I can't confirm that for sure. But I've just been lifting it up, and you can see in there, okay, once you've lifted up the corner a little bit, you can actually see into the side, and you can see there's only one stabilizer bar in there, and it goes into that little metal clip at the bottom. What I've been doing is I've just been lifting up and watching from the side. Okay, and you can watch from there. And I'm just going up against it and attempting to pull it out of that little clip down there. And yeah, so I've just been pressing it to the side. Oh, I broke my toothpick. That's okay, I have a second side. I would recommend using some other kind of tool than a toothpick. This doesn't seem to be working the greatest. But this is all I really had. It might actually be easier, yeah, to go from the top. Okay, definitely go from the top. I can look at it and I can see it. I just pulled it out. Now that I've done that, I should be able to go on the other side and pull it out of the other side. It is kind of tricky to do this, but okay, I'm just gonna. Okay, so I got the stabilizers off and I double checked very carefully that I did that. I also just snapped off the other pieces. Not snapped off, but they click. So if you look in the side, you can see there's definitely like that clip down there was holding the stabilizer bar. And if you have it out of there, it's not in there anymore, right? And I checked both sides, I got that. And then after you've pulled that off, you can literally just lift up the key. And right now the key is still attached at one point, but you just kind of, I went all around the key and I just kind of lifted it up. And I'm going to snap it out of these last parts. And there we go. I got my shift key out. It's got that stabilizer bar on it. There's my piece of broken toothpick, and the rest of it is a little bit disoriented in there, but I can put it all back together. It's not a huge deal. I'm going to clean it up first, because there's still some junk in there, like my broken toothpick, but more so like, definitely, if you spilled pop in your keyboard, there's pop residue on the stabilizer bar. Like I can literally see it right now, and that is really adding up to the stickiness of this. So I'm gonna really clean that off. I'm gonna clean out a little bit of the plastic, a little bit of like the hinges of the plastic where they hinge. And I'm gonna clean out like some of the hair and stuff like that, just because I'm in here anyway. But I think the main part of the stickiness is just this stabilizer bar. Because honestly, like I've pulled a couple keys apart and I've just done the stabilizer bar and they're back to normal. They're perfect again. So yeah, I'm gonna clean this out a little bit. I've just been using Q-tips, a little bit of filtered water, just dip them in, and like don't go lots, especially near that little press. I don't remember what those are called. They're cups. I think they're cups. But definitely don't get like lots of water near there if you're going to be doing it like I'm doing it. I've just been using the Q-tip on these, like pulling them out completely, and I'll just run the Q-tip over that. I guess I can do that, can't I? Put it back there. This stabilizer bar just pulls right out, it snaps out. I'm just going to snap it the whole way. I can see there's obviously stuff on it. It was even sticking to my fingers. Okay, not great, but I just hold it down, get a good amount of water over it, just because pop's soluble, it's fine. And none of this is really any sort of electronic stuff. I don't think you really have to worry about dust or anything like that, making this any huge problem. Just under that cup, don't get stuff under that cup. That's the really big part. And I recommend you just stay out of that area. Okay. And yeah, I'm just going to clean out, like I cleaned off that. I'm going to, like I can see there's residue in here. I'm just going to dab at that stuff. And it does come off. And just fill up my Q-tip with a little bit of pop at a time. Or soda if you're American. And I'm going to stick a little hair hanging onto me here. And I'm not convinced that's the cleanest right now, so I'm just going to keep going over that. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. That's like a little bit wet still, so I'm just going to use the dry side of my Q-tip and just dry off the water that's there. Because it's not great to mix electricity and water, but my laptop's not on right now, and I'm not going to turn it on until, I don't know, like a half hour or so after I've done all this, just to make sure that there's no There's no leftover water just hanging out across circuitry, because that's no good, right? And I've cleaned up this bar pretty good. Okay, I'm going to put the bar right back in. Okay, and it just clicks right back in to each of those little snaps. Ooh, you can actually see these clips really well at this angle, can't you? Okay, so you can see at the top, narrow and then wide connection points. The wide in the space itself are wide points, whereas, let me get a little pointer stick here. This here at the bottom is wide, whereas that's a connection point that's quite narrow. I'm going to pull my little bit of toothpick out of here. I definitely don't need that under the key. Oh, geez. I can't even pull it out. Use my tweezers. I'll just tweeze that out of here. That's useless to me. I'm going to clean up a little bit in the area. I'm definitely going to make sure I don't have as much water in my Q-tip anymore. Okay, and I'll just dab around this stuff. I don't want to get very close to the cup. It honestly doesn't seem like the cup is the sticky part of this anyway. But if you're doing this for other reasons, then that's your thing. You might want to replace these cups. I think they have a little bit of glue to them. I don't think they're just sitting there, because they are relatively robust. Okay, so now I kind of messed up these pieces as I pulled it apart. If you can see, no, you can't see. Okay, well, on your own, there's a middle clip here, right in the center. Okay, and there's a little piece on the smaller piece that goes into there. I'm going to pull these off completely just because I'm going to clean them. Okay, and it seems like the best way to do that is to kind of, with your hands, push them up. Up, like the cardinal direction north, so that they're out of the top space there. Now, when I've messed it up like this, it's a lot more difficult, isn't it? Okay. I'm gonna give it a shot, pull one off, and then I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so if they're in there normally, this kind of works the same, but what I found, since I've messed them up, they've come out already. I don't really want that, but if they've done this for you too, I've been simply pressing against the top, and they just kind of click out the top. It seems it's a lot easier to take it out the top first and then the bottom, and the bottom just kind of slid out, but you might have to give it a little bit of reinforcement. As for, pay very close attention to how it comes apart, how these are sitting. You see this is raised, right? This square part here is raised, whereas that this small one, the piece is lowered. This is how they came out, okay? In this exact orientation, they came out like that. I'm gonna put them back in like that. And yeah, I'm gonna clean around them first though. Okay, my pieces are all clean. I'm going to reassemble them. I keep them in this same orientation, drop it on top, okay? And it's sitting on top, and I placed it so that each of the round little pegs, oh, you can actually see much better if I go further away. Okay, so each of the round little pegs on it, right, is sitting in the slot that they're supposed to, and it just needs a little press, And I've been inspecting it after I do that just because I found some of them sit a little angled. This you can tell right along the top here, right? It's very square. Sometimes it might be sitting a little off. You just tweak it, push it in so it's sitting square. Okay, and then this piece is going to go right back in here. Always start with the bottom. The bottom goes in way easier than the top if you're going in this direction. So that clips in there. And then you're just going to give it a light press, kind of an upward facing press, and it goes right down. And now that's in. It barely made a click, but you can see it has its action is working correctly, right? Okay, now I'm going to do the same with this one. I pulled them out. They're in the wrong orientation right now. So I want this square end to be facing downwards. Man, this is really tough to do with tweezers. Okay. I see my piece. I want it to be sitting. You can see the square edges versus the rounded edges. It's like a really fine change, but I want it to be sitting like this. Do I want it to be sitting like that? No. I want it to be sitting like that. That one goes like that. This one is going to sit like that. You can see it's raised, whereas this one's lowered. Same thing. Put it on top. It's much easier to put it on top with the tweezers. Put it right in the spot. It's sitting so that the round pieces are right in the slot they're supposed to go in. I just press down and they went in. I'm checking it's square. And now, if you look really carefully in there, there's a little metal clip right there, okay? And each of those narrow clips, I'm just going to slide the bottom under those clips. And they have slid under. And after I've done that, I'm just going to press the top down. And the top is down, and same thing, this one is in and working properly. Okay. Now I have this stabilizer bar on here, which is a little bit annoying to work with. When I have the stabilizer bar, in order to put it in, I've been turning it so it is upright, and then I can see it. Okay. Seems to be a lot easier with my fingers than it is with tweezers. And you can see the side clip there. It just needs to slide under that clip. Just like that. And then same thing on the other side. I'm doing that with my left hand, and not left-handed is a lot more difficult. Same thing. You just kind of push it as far as you can, and then it'll move right back in to where it needs to be. And I've got both of them in now, and so I can just place the key back down over top and press it into place. And I want both sets of those to click, so I've pushed on both sides, and you can push quite hard to do that. And my shift key is good. It is definitely not sticky anymore. It was quite sticky before. Now I'm going to do my enter and this key above it. Everything else feels pretty good. I might do my backspace. Yeah, I might do the backspace. Everything else feels pretty good. So I just did a little bit of looking at the enter and this key above it. It looks like the stabilizer bar for each of these, it's not mirrored or anything, goes along the bottom for this key and along the bottom for this key. So that means if I want to get this one out, it'd probably be a lot easier to get the enter out as well. So I'm just going to do both of these keys at the same time, being careful not to mix any pieces. So I got my toothpick underneath again. I'm going to go up next to that breaker bar. I need to look very low in order to see this. Yeah, I can see it. Can't push it though. Let me struggle with this for a while. Okay, time for another special secret time, okay? I found that rather than trying to pull out the stabilizer bar in the same way that I put it in, it seems if you're able to find out the orientation of it, so I found out it's going down along the bottom of the key. Okay, if you can find out the orientation of it, go to the other side so that when you're looking at it inside there, you can just see it pinched in there. It's going diagonally to the left there, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull towards me and it pries itself out of the clip that's in the key, okay? And now I can just follow it around because I'm inside between it and the key. And I'm going to pull it out of each of the clips along the way. Okay. It's now completely separate. It is sitting in the space that it's supposed to be in. Oh man, I'm really bad at filming this. Okay, so it's completely separate. It's sitting in the space, in the clips that it goes into that are in the keyboard, but not in the key anymore. And now, from here, for these plastic pieces, like it seems like you just straight up just pull the key off. Like it's not very intuitive, but get a good grip on it and be kind of gentle if you can. Do smaller pieces at a time. Okay, and I just pulled it off. And now it's off. You can see there's more soda residue in there. I'm going to have to clean that out. There's more soda residue on my key itself, but I'm going to do the key above it as well. So this key above it, I also saw same orientation. The bar goes like this. I'm going to try my new technique. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to make sure that I get past the bar. I suppose I can move you guys over. I'm under the key. I'm going to make sure I'm past the stabilizer bar. There's one click. It's out there. Doesn't seem like there's another one until the other side. So it's out completely now. It's just sitting along the base. And I'm just going to pry the key up, which, for God's sakes, I really feel scared about doing this, but that's straight up how you do it. Got more soda residue in there. This key's also been a bit sticky. Okay, but it seems it's a lot easier to work with these now because like pulling these out when there's a key over it is really difficult, whereas pulling them out with a pair of tweezers afterwards is, you didn't see that at all. Let me do it again on this enter bar. Doing it again with tweezers after the key is out is a lot easier than doing it when the key is on top of it still. Okay, but those are out. I don't think I'm actually going to touch these plastic pieces. They seem all right. But I am going to clean out definitely all the soda residue in there and on the bars themselves. And I'm going to do my best to clean up around there where I can obviously see some pop has been. And I'll get back to you after. Okay, so I've cleaned up each of my keys here. I did notice that on my enter key, Let's see if I can get a good view of that. The clip up near the top has been broken, and I have the little nub there that came off of it. That's a shame, but honestly, the fact that my laptop wasn't bricked after being completely covered in pop is really my main concern. So, I mean, this key's still going to function as it needs to, but I guess I was a little bit vigorous in pulling it off, but it's all in good fun, I guess. I don't know. If you're replacing these, like, you don't even care about this piece anyway, so... but just a lesson. Be careful when you're pulling it apart. I don't really know what I did wrong, but... It's a cheap key compared to the entire fucking laptop, so honestly, it's like, I'm not too concerned. I hope you aren't either. Anyway, we're just going to go right back to putting these stabilizer bars in. It does seem like putting them in the key before the laptop is easier than putting them in the laptop first. And it's relatively obvious where each of these go because it's all machined. It's all kind of idiot-proof in design. Like things like the clips being narrow and wide, that's like quite intuitive to how the plastic goes together, right? Because it's still narrow at the top and wide at the bottom, right? So this key needs to be narrow going there and wide going at the bottom. Okay. I need to put in the stabilizing bar first. So again, I'm just going to flip that out. I'm going to hold that first. Okay. Flipped out. And I'm just going to, with my hands, push it in on one side, and then move over to the other, and push it in on that side. And now it's in. I can just push the key. Oh, well, that was stupid of me. Remember what I said about idiot-proof? Yeah, okay. Put the key the right way around. Okay, now I snapped it in. Now I'm just going to push it over. It sits in place properly. I'm just going to press it down. That works tons better. It's not sticky anymore. Okay, same thing. This one, it clips in and runs along the bottom. The fucking enter. It points out the right way to go, and the clips on the back point out the right way to go, and then if you put it in the wrong way, it's really obvious. It looks like it's in the wrong way and all that kind of... So I don't think you'll have too much difficulty with that. This is kind of tough to do with one hand. I just swapped to my left for some dumb reason. I don't know why I did that. Okay, I'm getting this back. Okay, I'm gonna pull it to this side. It's passed, and then I can just let it back in. Okay, and then I can get the enter key just to sit in place, and I'm gonna press it down. There's as much of it clipped as I can get. Oh, my enter key is beautiful again. Okay. Well, that's gonna conclude this. I think I'm pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with my keyboard. All the keys work, which is amazing. I'm so glad that none of the keys failed after doing this. And none of them are sticky anymore. I just cleaned out all the major ones. All the rest of them seem to work pretty good, so I'm not going to bother taking them apart. It's a bit of effort and a bit of patience that I honestly, maybe someday I might do, but yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching.